Anyway,
Cool.
nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. So Mystery Moon, new album Shine. Um, I mean, I've been reading reviews, and this website called Rock Report gave it a perfect score and says album of the year.
Oh, whoever did that? I haven't read that
Yeah,
before, but so far the most of the reviews are actually really very positive, which I'm very glad about. Um, but I think people who listen to the album can hear and feel that this is an album, that was not recorded and released because we had to, but
right.
because we wanted to. I met Rob Longren because I just wanted to record one single song with him for my Barnabas Sky project. And then two female friends of mine who really liked or love his voice told me, why don't you record a complete album with him? His voice really rocks. And I was like, yeah, why not? So a month later, I got to meet Rob when he was touring with Mentalist. They were playing in Mannheim, which is about 1 hour from where I live. So yeah, I had a beer with Rob and asked him this question: what about doing a complete album instead of just one song? And you know the end of the story.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Are you amazed with his voice? You like it?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. I really love these raspy voices. He has this rasp in his voice. You cannot fake it. Either you have it or you don't. And when I first heard his voice, it was a Mentalist song. Mentalist are on the same label, Pride and Joy Music, and they released a video for the song Stairs of Ragusa. Just to mention that Ragusa is a city, a town in Italy. I didn't know that. I had to look it up myself.
Uh,
Anyway, they released this video for Stairs of Ragusa, and I first saw him and heard him. I was like, who?
yeah.
He looks like a reggae guy with this Rasta hair,
Uh-huh.
but he sounds like a progressive metal singer. So that hit me the most. The fact that he completely looks different
Right.
than what he sounds like. But
Right.
of course, yeah, sure. And the next day I wrote to him, would you like to write a song with me for Barnabas Sky? So to cut the long story short, I absolutely love, not to say adore, his voice. Yes.
Cool. 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 Now you're on Pride and Joy Music. To me, it seems like they're really coming on heavy. Pride and Joy. A lot of great bands are getting signed to that label. How is it working for them?
Well, really smooth. All I can say is that Birgit Schwanke, the head of Pride and Joy Music, what I really appreciate is that she only releases albums that she is convinced of and likes to listen to herself.
Right.
You know, that also means that she did not sign one of the albums I recorded lately, which I will release with another label. But I don't mind. I think it's within the music business. You have a lot of people being in there, unfortunately, only for the money. And that's not the case with Birgit. She is only doing what she really likes herself and believes in herself. That is the first thing that I really appreciate with Pride and Joy Music and the label. And the other thing is we have complete creative freedom. I can record and write whatever I want to,
Right.
and it will be released. There's no one from the label telling you have to include at least two ballads, or don't do a progressive part, or don't do this or don't do that. Having the creative freedom to do what I want and to do what I feel
Right.
is the second part. And the third part, of course, since Birgit comes from a magazine background, she used to be the editor in chief for the Rocket magazine in Germany. Of
Uh-huh.
course, she has lots of contact. So I know when I release albums with Pride and Joy Music, um, we will have a pretty good media attention for the releases, and without that you can't release an album because no one takes notice of it. So I'm actually really glad having found Pride and Joy as a home for several of my projects in 2020, and since then have not regretted that in one single day or moment.
Cool. Let's go down some of the tracks and tell me a little bit about each song, starting with No, Now's the Time.
Now is the Time actually was indeed the first song I wrote for Mystery Moon. In fact, it starts with that arpeggiator synthesizer sound, this and when two female friends of mine came visiting me by my house and I showed them how my home recording studio works, these two chords, the beginning of Now's the Time, were how I showed them how my synthesizer recording works. And these two girls were the ones who suggested I record a complete album with Rob. So it was some kind of natural thing that I take this spontaneously played keyboard passage as the nucleus for this album. I think that's quite an interesting story to tell. And concerning the ending of the song with more than 100 vocal tracks, when Rob sent me his vocal recordings, I was like, wow, I need to have some a cappella ending for the song. I had some musician friends who helped adding more voices, so we had like 100 vocal tracks at the end to complete and give this song this massive ending, which I really like. Of course, it is a little a nod to Sabotage, what they did with Chance on Handful of Rain for the very first time, with these overlapping vocal things. I wanted to do something similar for Forever, and Now's the Time was the perfect song to try that out. Yeah.
Cool. Now the title track's number 2, and it hit number 2 on the Rockin You All Night site.
Indeed, yeah. It was one of the last tracks that Rob wrote the vocals for, and interestingly enough, his first take was very, very rasp. You know, he sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, melodically that's perfect, but I think you're too much James Hetfield, but you could be more of Steve Perry, you know. So that was the only song where I wanted him to re-record the verses, because I had the feeling he had a too heavy approach to it. And in the end, I think everyone loves this song because it became a melodic rock anthem, and I really love what Rob's doing there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. How about the Hidden Magic?
Ha! The Hidden Magic, the title and the lyrical meaning is that if you write music and create songs, sometimes things happen that you can't explain. So the lyrical meaning of the Hidden Magic is the creative process, how Rob and me created these songs. You know, it's like the story of our creative collaboration. However, the musical part of the Hidden Magic, of course, is a little magic. It has these Arabian harmonies, which is it's extraordinary. And I know that I would love to write another song in that kind of harmony. But since then, I have not managed to do so. Unfortunately, it's one of my favorite songs on the album because it's so different from all the other songs.
Cool. How about the Mystery?
The Mystery was this one very first song that Rob and me wrote together, originally meant to be on the next Barnabas Sky album. And when we decided to do a complete album together, of course, I took this off from Barnabas Sky to the new project, and therefore the project is called Mystery Moon, because the song The Mystery was where it all started.
Cool. How about Moment of Life?
I wrote this ballad song, and I always send instrumental demos to singers I work with. So I sent this to Rob, and I said, well, Rob, maybe you can manage to write some lyric to it, which is not, oh, baby, I love you, why did you leave me? You know, it's boring. I hate love songs. I admit that. I don't hate much, but I hate love songs. Yawn. And what he did, he wrote me that a day later, the first time he heard my music, he immediately was struck by the lyrical idea which came into life. The song is a celebration of the moment when a human being comes to life, because he was there when his second son was born. And he wrote this song for his two sons. He has two sons,
Uh-huh.
and to celebrate a human being coming into life and this very short moment of birth. So it's a very personal song for him,
Right.
and he couldn't have done anything which touched me anymore,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing, I think.
Cool. Cool. How about mindset? Road I'm on.
Mindset is about positive thinking. Anytime you face challenges in your life that you think you may not succeed to deal with, you just have to believe in yourself, and usually you will be able to. So this lyrical thing is very positive, and I have very heavy guitars in that song, and therefore I thought it could be interesting to combine that with a flute.
Right.
No one, I think, would have combined these heavy detuned guitars with a flute melody, which a friend of mine, Sabrina Roth, really played. She's a very, very well-known blues and jazz singer in our area, and she's a pretty good flute player. So I asked her to record this flute part, which the melody is. I thought of the melody, but I needed someone to play the flute because I can't.
Cool. Cool. How about Crossroad in My Heart?
Crossroad in My Heart is I don't know if it's spelled the right way in English. You know what walzer is? Walzer is a dance. Rum, dum,
Oh,
da, rum,
yeah,
dum,
yeah.
da, rum, dum, da. It's in a walzer rhythm, 6/8. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
dum, da, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this is the way I started this song. I said to myself, I want to write a song in this walzer rhythm,
Uh-huh.
but not a ballad like Bed of Roses is Walzer. No Bed of Roses. No, I wanted to have a Walzer song that rocks.
Right. Yeah.
So I just created some music project with some drum arrangements, took the guitar in hand to record a demo, and that was Crossroad in My Heart. It was like I played for 4 minutes. It just came from wherever it came from, and the what the spontaneous idea what I played with the guitar became the song. I didn't change anything.
Wow. Cool. 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 How about Sudden Rapture?
Ha! Sudden Rapture is a little different. I was changing the strings of my guitar and
Uh-huh.
was trying around some things, and then I said like, wow, that sounds like Priest. I always say Priest, not Judas Priest. And I grew up listening to especially Turbo, Ram It Down, Screaming for Vengeance. So I said to myself, why not do a song which is a tribute to Judas Priest? So I really tried to make the riffing very Judas Priest like, and also added guitar synthesizer sounds, which they used on Turbo and Ram It Down the most. So not only the guitar playing, but even the guitar synth sounds are willingly sounding like the Priest of the late 80s.
Right.
And Rob's vocals are mind blowing for that song, if you
Right.
ask
Yeah.
me.
Cool. 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 How about Nature's Way?
Nature's Way is the second ballad, and again, Rob succeeded not to write a love song, but to write a song. He doesn't even sing Nature's Way, so it's a
Uh-huh.
very uncommercial ballad. But he sings about the fact that we, the human beings, often interfere with nature and not letting nature find its own way. I mean,
Right.
everyone sees what's going on in nature these days. I think there's not much more to say. The lyrics are well worth listening to and reading. Very thoughtful and thought-provoking lyrics, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Cool. Cool. How about Frustration?
Frustration indeed was the second song we wrote, originally meant to be a bonus track on the next Barnabas Sky record. And I know that this was the song which was the hardest for Rob. I don't know why, but he said it was not easy for him to find cool, vocal melodies for that track. It could have been the relatively standard guitar
Right.
things I was playing, because when he added his vocals, in the end he found cool vocals. Then I re-recorded like 90% of the guitars, because I admit my guitar stuff was a little boring. So his vocals then brought me to find cooler guitar parts. So yeah, it was a give and take process for that song. And I know he had more problems with that song than with any other song of the album.
Wow. Wow. How about Stars a Million Miles Away?
It's the second longest song I ever wrote. The longest would be on the next Barnabas Sky album with over 9 minutes. I wrote that song for Dick Kennedy of Hitman. I think you photographed Hitman. I think I
Yes, I
saw that
did.
on
Yep,
Facebook.
yep, yep.
Yeah. Their bass player has died quite young, as far as I know. And for Dirk, I wrote that 9 minute song. However, this 8.5 minute song for Mystery Moon is very complex, and The Stars a Million Miles Away is a story about something that Rob experienced when he was a child, or maybe in his 11, 12 years old. He was visiting a friend in summer, and he was riding his bike home. At night it was dark, and he came out of a forest up to an open field, and suddenly he recognized some light above, but it was not an UFO. It was just a starlight which struck him. So he stopped and looked up to the sky, and he told me this was the first time for him, being a young boy, to actually take notice of this whole massive, big, and infinite universe, so to say. However, him being a very small, but being a part of that. So um, this is what Stars a Million Miles Away is about, a personal story. And he repeats the words, I will never forget that day. I will never forget that day, at the end of the chorus. And if you know that, after we spoke, listen to the song again and listen to, he's telling a story. And I love when singers are telling a story. Just like Ronnie James Dio, my favorite singer of all time, for example, is doing. I love stories, especially in over length tracks. The best he could have done. Yeah.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised you know about Hitman. They weren't like huge or nothing, but they put on a great show. So hats
Yeah,
off to
didn't their bass player walk in some robot costume or something like
yeah,
that?
yeah. You know,
Yeah.
they were a
Yeah.
great band. I still talk to Dirk every once in a while, so you know, it's cool.
So say hi to him, because I have written another song for him, and he's just about completing the vocals and lyrics. However, I know that someone in his family actually right now is suffering from a very severe illness. So I let him cope with that, and hope he comes back like early next year at the latest with that song, because this is the last song missing for the next Barnabas Sky album. So he will have two songs on the next Barnabas Sky album. I love his voice since I first heard Vivas Machina. I absolutely love that album. I heard it like twice a day for maybe 1 year in the early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How about Moment of Life?
Well, Moment of Life is the second version on the album, the piano version. The piano is played by Joris Guibaud, the French keyboard player who I recorded and wrote the album Atlantis Drive with for Mark Bowles. I thought this ballad would deserve a second take with just the vocals and the piano. Some people say it's too much of a ballad for them. I can't decide if I prefer the piano version or the band version.
Right. Yeah.
It's a
Wow.
matter of taste.
With your diversity on guitar and stuff like that, who's some of your favorite guitarists and why?
When I started playing the guitar, or no, when I decided I wanted to learn playing the guitar, that was in '87. Um, My fave guitar duo were Tipton and Downing of Judas Priest because I really liked what they were doing together.
Right.
However, as single guitar players, Eddie Van Halen was my fave because I love this tapping technique
Yeah.
because it just looks cool and it impresses people. So of
Yeah.
course I wanted to impress people. I admit that.
Right.
However, the tone, even back then, my favorite guitar player concerning tone was and will always be Gary Moore. When he
Uh,
was playing rock, the blues stuff is not my cup of tea, but the instrumental, the loner on Wild Frontier still gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. This
yeah.
is the perfect tone. He just knew when to hit one note and how long to play that one note in what kind of tone. Yeah, unfortunately, he left us way too early.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Wow. Wow. Now, do you consider Mystery Moon a project or a band? Will there be any shows?
Mm, not yet with this first album. However, I can say that yesterday morning I finished the 10th demo for the next album.
Uh-huh.
So who knows? I mean, Rob lives in Sweden close to Stockholm, which is not so far away.
Right.
So it would not be impossible to get some guys like a bass player, second guitar player, drummer, and a keyboarder, and do live shows in Germany. It would be easier than like with people like Mark Bowles, who lives close to Las Vegas. That
Right.
would be also financially way more of a challenge. But with Rob, never say never. I like to play live. This is one of the reasons I learned to play the guitar. And with my band Scarlet in the 90s, I played several hundreds of gigs. I like to be on stage and do funny things on stage. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But you need to have the right band members and chemistry. So never say never. I would be in it anytime.
Cool, cool, cool. How's the music scene where you are?
Well, unfortunately, and that's the reason why I am, so to say, um, almost only recording in my home studio, because we live in a very, do you say that, rural area?
Yeah.
Right, I think, yeah. Kaiserslautern has something like 100,000 inhabitants, but we have no live music scene for bands who write their own songs. We
Right.
have tribute bands and cover bands, and everyone goes sees them. But when a band plays somewhere and plays their own stuff, you won't have 30 people
Yeah.
coming,
Yeah.
being willing to pay for the concert. So that's very sad. It's all dominated by tribute and cover bands. And I try to make people get interested in my bands and original material, but in our area, that's close to impossible. The one and only band from Kaiserslautern who managed, yeah, to get a big name in the hard rock area, and their guitar player was my guitar teacher, was Vandenblas.
Oh, cool. Wow. Yeah.
Vandenblas is from Kaiserslautern. However, they managed to get a major label deal in France in the
Uh-huh.
early 90s. Then they got to on a Europe tour with Dream Theater, I think for the Awake tour, if I'm not completely mistaken. So they still live from the audience they managed to create supporting Dream Theater like 30 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty popular, you know. They're
Yeah,
very
and believe it or not, as I said, Stefan Lill was my guitar teacher. He
uh,
played a guest solo on the latest Lazarus Dream album. Their singer Andy Kunz lives like 2 minutes from my apartment,
uh,
and we've known each other for, yeah, since '88. I went to Vandenblas concerts. It was my very first concert ever on the
wow.
30th of April, '88. My father was driving me and my best friend back at the time to a gig because I was 14 years old. My
Wow.
first live concert ever was Vandenblas. And
Wow.
of course, they were yeah, a, a band from our area. They were playing Just Like Paradise from David Lee Roth at the final countdown, and I think Born to Be My Baby by Bon Jovi.
Wow. Wow. That's cool. 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 So
I hope
what's
they don't mind me telling this.
wow? So what's the latest concert you saw?
Mm, I think the latest. No, I give you two replies. The latest hard rock concert I saw was Doro.
Uh-huh.
Doro was playing in Kaiserslautern to a sold out crowd at the Camgarn, where we supported Winterland. My band Winterland supported Vandenblas a few years ago there. So
Uh-huh.
Doro was absolutely incredible. And the other concert, not hard rock concert, it's a band I still appreciate very much, is Simple Minds. I
Oh
saw
yeah,
the
yeah,
Simple
yeah,
Minds
yeah.
in Frankfurt, and their guitar player, Charlie Burchill, he's not a technically very skilled guitar player, to be
Right.
honest. But his sounds and what he plays in the songs, whenever I hear a new album from them, I'm like, I would never have thought of what he plays in these different passages. And live, they were absolutely mind blowing. Jim Kerr was singing really good, and Charlie Burchill's guitars were spot on. He has like, I think, this board of effects in front of him, like
Uh,
200 pedals, and he's stepping like Fred Astaire on the pedals. And I was like, wow, any rock fan should come go see the Simple Minds, especially because of Charlie Burchill. I forgot his name because he's not a classic rock guitar player, but his guitar sounds also impressed and influenced me very much. The latest song I wrote for Mystery Moon has a typical Simple Minds guitar sound. This
right.
galloping delay. You play dung 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 dung, and it sounds like tuk, 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 tuk.
Uh-huh.
That's a typical Simple Minds thing. What they did in the early '80s before they became commercially really successful.
Yeah, yeah. You have anything else coming up you like to talk about?
I always have many things coming up. Well, anyway, um, I have 3 releases in the can. The next will be my main band Winterland will release a new album in spring. Then we have the next Barnabas Sky album, which will be on Pride and Joy. In July, we just spoke about that last week. Yeah, and as I said, I have written, written. I have written 15 songs and chose the 10 strongest ones, if I'm correct, to be on the next Mystery Moon album. But that might not be released next year, but early 2026. Yeah.
That's 3 band. Are you planning a 4th band?
Another band? No. Well, I have Lazarus Dream, but Lazarus Dream is on hold for the time being. And the other thing I can say is I recorded this album with Mark Bowles, Atlantis Drive, but this will be a one-off album. So that was just a project. I just wanted to record one album with 80s influenced hard rock and very prominent synthesizers.
Right.
But I don't believe I can capture this spark and this special moment for this one album I would have recorded and written way back in the late 80s if I would have been able to. So I think a second album would never be as strong. So I leave it at that one and be a one-off release. Yeah.
Wow. So what are your hopes for this album? I know the reviews are great. So what do you hope for?
Well, that people just listen to it without any prejudice. Like, for example, Mentalist is of course much heavier. Mentalist doesn't have any keyboards and it's more like a classic Iron Maiden sound. 2 guitars, double bass and thing. And Mentalist fans, I don't know if they can actually enjoy what we are doing because Mentalist is much heavier than Mystery Moon. But I think if you like Rob's voice and if you like good melodies, you could enjoy Mystery Moon as much as you might enjoy Mentalist. I just can encourage anyone listening to the music and hope he has as much fun with our music as we do ourselves. That's all I want. I'm not in it for the money. I have my 9 to 5 job, which makes me earn enough money to be able to afford this music thing. So I'm glad for anyone who likes my music as much as I do.
Cool. Well, Markus, it was great talking to you, and I enjoyed the album. Everybody go support it. Is there any merchandise you have available?
No, unfortunately not, because it's the first album and you don't know how the reactions are. The only thing I have available, and I have not many left. I think I have 10 left. I have about 10 signed CDs left at home.
Cool.
So if anyone would like to have a signed CD, of course I sent the booklets to Rob to Sweden, and he sent them back. Just drop me a message on Facebook and I will get a signed CD over to you. So some people really like to have that. It's a more personal thing. Unfortunately, not any more merchandise yet, but never say never. Who knows?
Cool, cool. Well, thanks a lot for the chat. Would you like to say anything to the fans out there?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to watching this video. Thanks for listening to Mystery Moon, and enjoy what we did, and hopefully as much as we did ourselves.
Cool, cool. Thanks a lot, Markus.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.